All right, let's talk some weather now with meteorologist Clay Smith, who's in for David today. All right, Clay, it's a storm alert weather day, but one of the things you've been talking about is just how hot it is out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the storm alert weather day more for the heat than the storm chances, because the storm chance is going to be on the low end between about 6 and 10. A lot of us, though, not going to see any storms today, but the heat index now pushing over 110 in spots across the Tennessee Valley. So we're going to have that dangerous heat-related illness certainly going to be possible, and maybe we get some storms a little bit later on that could have some damaging wind gusts. But again, pretty low end threat for that. As we take a look at your temperatures now, 96 here in Chattanooga, 91 in Cleveland, 91 in Calhoun, but wait, we have humidity and very high humidity. Dew points in the mid 70s, which is pretty high even for our area. It feels like 111 out in Dayton, 108 in Dalton, 102 in Fort Payne. So if you don't have to be outside, maybe try to stay in for the next couple of hours. But if you are going to be out, make sure you're staying hydrated and drinking plenty of water. And it's not just us, it's the entire Southeast. Heat advisories from the Carolinas up through New York, back into the Southern Plains. Excessive heat warnings in the pink. That's where the heat index could push over 110 to even 115, and that's where we're going to be for the next several hours. That slim chance of storms, and then things quiet down overnight and we slowly fall back into the upper 70s. And here's a look at the satellite radar. So it's pretty dry here across the Tennessee Valley, but we are watching this complex of storms that's swinging through southern Kentucky. That could clip some of our area a little bit later on, mainly going to favor the eastern areas outside of Chattanooga. So places like Dayton, Pikeville, Athens, even Cleveland into Murphy will have a better chance of seeing storms. But for now, it is all quiet here across the Tennessee Valley. But notice north of Chattanooga later on, we have that marginal risk, level 1 out of 5, for strong storms with damaging wind gusts. So let's track it all out using our Futurecast. Again, the rest of the evening, I'm thinking for most going to stay dry. The models really had a hard time picking up this pattern over the last little bit. But as we go into your Friday, I think we're going to have a better chance of some scattered showers and storms after about 1 p.m. until sunset, as we have a weak front coming through. Not going to help to cool us down all that much, but it will give us more moisture and a better chance of some showers as we go into your Friday, and then we're going to start to dry out. Locally heavy rainfall going to be possible. Now, talking about the tropics, things are starting to become a little more active here across the Atlantic Basin. We're watching this area of unorganized cloud cover and thunderstorms to move in to the Gulf of Mexico potentially by the weekend. About a 70% chance of becoming a named storm. So we're going to watch this area pretty closely. Not going to have impacts on our weather in the next 7 days, but it could impact places like Florida, maybe even southern Georgia as we go into your weekend. But outside of that, not a whole lot going in the tropics. Next up would be Debbie. So if this organizes itself, it would be tropical depression and then eventually tropical storm Debbie. So we'll keep you updated on that. Closer to home, something that is going to impact us, and this is fairly tropical related, is the Saharan dust tracker. Now, we had this pretty thick a couple of years ago, especially right around 2020. That's when we saw some very thick Saharan dust, and this basically travels all the way across the Atlantic from the Saharan desert and picks up those dust particles. And that's what we're going to be dealing with as it becomes a little thicker tomorrow. And that could lead to some vivid sunrise and sunsets here across the Tennessee Valley, maybe limiting storm development tomorrow because it looks like it's going to peak during the afternoon. We'll have to watch that pretty closely, and it can reduce our air quality as well. So that is something to be mindful of as we get into your Friday. But for the rest of the night, slim chance of those strong storms, very humid, temperatures slowly climbing down into the 70s. And then tomorrow we're right back at it, upper 90s. The heat index as high as 108 for your Friday. And then we're going to dry out for your weekend, but it's going to remain hot and humid all the way through next week.